Hi everyone, it's Marquis again from Marquis Thomas Yogi, and it is Thursday. It's Thursday afternoon here, and I am coming to you to record my weekly vlog, my final vlog on the 10-part Yama and Niyama series that I've been doing for almost 3 months now, it seems like. It's been an amazing process. I'm inspired by the process. I'm inspired all over again, getting in touch with my essential values as a yogi. And as I talked about a lot last week, it's one thing to know things like oh, this is my code of conduct, or these are my my ethical code, etc. And it's another thing to work daily to practice these values in your life. Of course, we are human. We do frequently, fall short of some of our goals, moral and ethical goals for ourselves as yogis and as humans. And that's okay. That's why we come back and we practice, and we devote ourselves wholly to this practice. And we don't seek perfection. We just keep trying, and we're in reflection, and we have awareness so that we can say, hey, maybe I didn't, do my best that day. Maybe I didn't respond in retrospect the way that I feel, would have been a better response available to me. And we're able to look at those things and be honest with ourselves and apply that compassionate self-forgiveness and try again, So here we are. I'm already just going. I am so excited and inspired today because tonight is the final Niyama. It's the 5th Niyama. It is Ishvara Pranidhana, or surrender to a higher power. This is the final of the Yama and Niyama, and as I mentioned, they are in sequential order for a reason. So take note that surrender to a higher power is the final of our moral and spiritual observances. If you are living by the prior 9 that we've discussed over the last few months together, then this surrender of our efforts to the greater good should almost come naturally when we are in alignment with these moral and spiritual observations. So I'm going to get into the vlog a little bit and talk more about Ishvara Pranidhana. I just did want to review real quickly because it is the final week. And actually, I'll record another vlog next week because I have some kind of new exciting news in regards to, my practice and the things that I'm working on for my yoga business that I want to share with you guys. So that'll be next week. But to review the first 2 limbs of Patanjali's 8-limbed path of yoga, or Ashtanga. The first limb is the Yamas, and the Yamas represent our moral obligations. The Yamas are ahimsa, nonviolence; satya, truthfulness; asteya, non-stealing; brahmacharya, non-hoarding; and aparigraha, non-coveting. The next limb is the Niyamas, and the Niyamas are the 5 observances. They're practices that we cultivate within our lives. They are Saucha, purity of being; Santosha, contentment; Tapas, austerity or discipline; Svadhyaya, self-study; and Ishvara Pranidhana, devotion to a higher power. That's where we are tonight. So Ishvara is translated as the controller of this universe. Just want to be really clear that divine consciousness doesn't care what God you serve, what you call him, if you even serve a God at all. Whatever you feel allows you to connect with higher, I'm trying to think of like other ways that I can say it, but whatever connects you the most with your spirit, whether it's Mother Earth, Jesus Christ, Buddha, Ganesha, whoever it is, whatever it is, whether it's yourself, whether it's your cat, as one of my teachers said, divine consciousness can be represented and symbolized in anything for any person. So it doesn't matter who you serve. Patanjali or all of the ancient sages aren't asking you to believe in any one specific God. It's more important that you serve some greater good, that you serve that greater good with full intensity of purpose, with full faith and belief, and you devote and surrender yourself to that higher purpose. So one of my teachers said, or calls it, the God of your own understanding. And I love that. So it's surrendering to the God of your own understanding. So Ishvara translates as the controller of the universe, and Pranidhana actually translates as to adopt as shelter, to shelter ourselves with this devotion to the controller of the universe, or the God of your understanding, which I'm going to be using tonight in my practice that I do. So it's to establish oneself in this idea, this cosmic idea, right? That we are divine consciousness. We all have that divine spark. We simply need to awaken it within. And as we practice and we have this sacred ritual every time of showing up on the mats, taking the time to close out the external stimuli, refocusing within, changing the focus from external to internal, making that practice time sacred, making it a sacred ritual. That is one way that we can show devotion. Our practice is devotional to God. And when we take the time to experience that, it's truly incredible. It really is. So some people define it as a devotion to a higher power. Other people define it as surrender to a higher power. I think they're one and the same. So it's, again, bringing us back to our purpose of why we do yoga. It's not to be flexible. It's not to be fit. It's most times not even to be healthier, although these are all inadvertent benefits of a regular asana practice, right? But why I do yoga, to connect with that divinity within, to fully and wholly be in union, that I might be able to share my love and share my light with others in the world. Because when we have that sense, when you're just full of love and full of your purpose, you do have something to offer. You have something to offer. People see that light and spark and they go to it. And then then you don't have to take more than you need, right? We talked about that with non-hoarding, brahmacharya, right? We talked about, the unconscious thing of taking more than you need. And how harmful that is ultimately in the grand scheme of things, not only on individual karmic levels, but in terms of the earth, and sustainability, right, for our species. So when we're full of love, we don't have to take more than we need. We have something to genuinely offer to ourselves and to one another. So, I think I talked a little bit about how people that don't do yoga may have the idea that, in the West it's become a little watered down, that yoga is just like these postures and we all can twist ourselves into pretzels or whatever. Um, but yoga doesn't mean, the person who does all of the poses best or the person who's the most flexible. It really, a yogi is really somebody who aspires to live by these values every moment of their lives. And again, nobody is perfect, so we're definitely not expecting that. So you're always reminding yourself of why you're doing what you're doing. What am I dedicating this effort to? And the more that I come back to my mat, because initially, when I first started practicing yoga, which was more than 10 years ago, it was just about the postures and the asanas. And then eventually I got more into the breathing and the meditative aspects. And that's when I wanted to know more about the foundation and the psychology, philosophy, etc. So kind of, I had that process of learning over time, of showing back up to the practice, because initially, yes, it was the asanas that I enjoyed doing and challenging myself with those things. I developed a reverence for my practice over time, of again doing these ritualistic behaviors, movements, breathing techniques, mantras. I developed a reverence for my practice and for my body in that practice, and like a heartfelt gratitude, that I have this. And that's how it started. So that can definitely be a process, but I just want to kind of quelch that misunderstanding or misperception that a yogi means, the person who does the most postures, or is the most flexible, etc. So I talked about ritualizing your practice. That's why we set intentions. That's why we take time to ground when we first arrive on our mats. As I say, we always take that time. And, allowing or not allowing, honoring that sacredness in our practice and that sacredness from within is a way of honoring the sacredness in all things. So I love that about the practice. I think that speaks very highly to Ishvara Pranidhana, and this constant ongoing coming back to surrendering to this higher power that is not separate from us. It is not separate. We may have many things that separate us from it, but we are never separate. And taking that time, that devotional time, to get back in touch with that and tap into that. And it really does have to be consistent. Even a few days off my mat, out of my practice, I feel it. I feel anxious. I feel restless. They say that restlessness, when we're feeling restless, it's very hard to be connected to the source. When we're connected to the source, we have this sense of peace, clarity, groundedness. So yeah, I talk, I'm kind of, again, rambling, but I talked a lot about how we can practice Ishvara Pranidhana in our regular asana practice, in how intentional we are about that practice and what it means to us. I talked about the idea of surrendering to the God of your own understanding, whatever that may be. It's completely all expansive. I talked about how we are refocusing from an external focus to an internal focus in our yoga practice, and that helps us to connect with divine source that does rest deep within this deep, unchanging place of spirit. where no matter what can be going on around you, it's the eye of the storm right there, and it's never changing. It's our internal resource. And just spending the time, devoting that time and energy to get in touch with that. I talked about establishing oneself in the cosmic idea. So the other thing that I wanted to get into, because I made the comment that when we're full of love, we have something to offer and we don't feel the need to take more than we need, right? So I also wanted to mention that I found this Niyama to be very closely related in practice to aparigraha, which, if you recall, was non-coveting. And I talked a lot in that vlog. If you haven't watched it yet, go back and watch it when you're done with this one, because I find them really related. I talked a lot in that blog about letting go of the expectation of our efforts. So instead of expecting a certain outcome, letting go of the outcome, putting the effort out, right? Doing everything you can do, doing your best, and then letting go of the outcome and dedicating that action, that service to the God of your own understanding. And in that way, you've created amazing peace with the experience, because you're not caught up in some, perfect desired outcome or result of your action. You do your best and you leave the rest. And I talked a lot in the vlog on aparigraha about just that, about surrendering the outcomes of your actions, letting go of expectation. So everything you do, you're supposed to offer it in service to greater good. In my case, to divine consciousness within and all around me. So I did find that to be interesting. And again, they're so interwoven, as I keep saying, that it's not, surprising that came up. But still definitely wanted to mention that to you guys. I mentioned feeling restless, and the other thing I wanted to say is that sometimes we get so caught up in our daily lives and the things we got to do and run, and this. We get this kind of tunnel vision focus on what's going on. And that also can remove us from our spirituality and from the reminder of who we truly are, what we are. So this is why it's so important, especially with this principle, to have this regular ritual of practice time, to come back to that no matter, again, what is going on. So that is Ishvara Pranidhana, and it is amazing and beautiful and exciting, and I'm all lit up by it. One other thing before I read, I did this last week. I just wanted to read a quick quote from the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali on Ishvara Pranidhana. But I just wanted to say, and I did mention how tapas plays into Ishvara Pranidhana with that intensity of purpose, that discipline, devotion, never letting up. It is very important that this is consistent, because as humans, we become complacent easily. We easily get distracted. We easily need more stimulus, whatever it might be, right? So that tapas, that intensity of purpose, is always needed. We always need that fire behind our purpose, that direct connection and passion to it. And yoga ultimately is all about regaining our universality. We are of the universe. We're made from the same elements. We all are, and we don't want to be removed from that truth any longer. So before I say goodbye for now, I just wanted to read, again, this is the translation and the commentary is by Swami Sanchananda. As I mentioned, it's his version, so I'm quoting from him. But I just wanted to read a quick paragraph on what he did say on Ishvara Pranidhana. What he says is, surrendering to the Supreme Being. I understand this to mean dedicating the fruits of your actions to God or to humanity, God in manifestation. Dedicate everything, your study, your japa, your practices, to God. When you offer such things, God accepts them, but then gives them back to you many times magnified. You never lose what you have given. Even virtuous, meritorious deeds will bind you in some form or other if you do them with an egotistical feeling. Every time you do something, feel, may this be dedicated to God. If you constantly remember to do this, the mind will be free and tranquil. Try not to possess anything for yourself. Temporarily keep things, but feel you are just a trustee, not an owner. So again, I would love to sit up here and say that as I go throughout my day, every single action or reaction or interaction that I'm a part of, I'm dedicating to God. But I'm not. I'm human. And this is part of the reason why we have this regular, consistent practice on the mat, that as it takes effect on the mat, we begin to be able to apply some of this off the mat as well. So that being said, I'm going to end there. We are going all the way up from the third eye chakra to the crown chakra tonight. Okay. So I hope you'll join me at 8:15 Eastern for my live flow. And this is the final night I'm doing it. So it should be amazing. Hope to see you guys then. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.